Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Alton West. Today I will have guests on from United Way and also a guest on from the LaGrange Police Department. So stay tuned for those interviews coming up in just a moment.
Just what you're hungry for. It's in downtown LaGrange. You have 17 restaurants to choose from, and each has its own personality, from chef-driven establishments to life on the casual side. Celebrate, create traditions, make new friends, discover new tastes. Downtown LaGrange is simply delicious. So come on down.
Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Today I have people on talking about the United Way kickoff. I have first of all the Executive Director, Patty Youngblood, and also the Campaign Chair, Jack Mormon. Welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Well, it's a pleasure to sit down with both of you all, and we're getting in that campaign season of the year for United Way, and it's such a very worthwhile cause here in our community. And Patty, you've been with it for a number of years, and Jack, I know that you've worked as well with United Way. But what I want to do is jump in here and just, Patty, tell us a little bit about your role first of all, if you don't mind.
I am the president of United Way of West Georgia, and we serve Troop, Heard, and Meriwether counties. We serve residents there. We raise most of our money in Troop County, and most of our agencies are located here. So it's one of the most exciting and trying jobs I've ever had in my life, because my role as United Way Director is to provide leadership for the other agencies. We raise money every year, and through our allocations process we encourage volunteers to join us, go out and really provide that on-site look and examination of what our agencies do, and then make a recommendation through their panel chairman as to what they feel those agencies should receive. Most of the time our volunteers want the agencies to get at least what they've asked for, if not more. And generally when I add up what all the requests are, they're more than our campaign goal. So
got to do a little cutting and balancing.
We do. We are
Absolutely.
very fortunate. We have Marty Pierman as our treasurer, and he does a great job leading that process. But that that's really what it's about. It's raising the money, and the money that's raised here stays here. 99 cents of every dollar raised by United Way stays in our local community. Now, that's not all donated out, because we have to run our business too, but about 80% goes to the agencies, 1% goes to United Way USA. And some of that even comes back to us in training. This year I went to the Southeast Regional Conference for United Way in Memphis, and because of the contributions we've made, or the dues we pay to United Way worldwide, I get flex credits that reimbursed us for the training for my expenses. So it comes back to us, plus all the advertising that United Way does on TV with the NFL and all of that. We get the use of the logo, so the participation, the association is there. And the PSAs they do nationally,
just a number
filter
of things
down
it sounds
locally,
like.
so it really does.
Okay, well, very good. And like I say, I've been around with United Way for a number of years, and Jack, you have been there and been an intricate part of United Way as well. And this year, you've taken on a major role for the United Way. You're the campaign chair. Talk about that, if you don't mind.
Well, they're very excited about that, Alton. I've been working with United Way off and on for different agencies, and of course, emceeing some events around the community. But I've been amazed this year as I've been working with Patty and her staff about the need that's in Troop County, and what United Way does with their 25 agencies, how they're able to reach and to help in situations that many of us don't even know are going on in our community. And so that's what's been exciting to me, is to be able to step in and, one, learn so much from them, but then also be able to get ready to hopefully raise funds to benefit these agencies, and then of course the people that benefit from the agencies themselves.
Absolutely. You know, like I've stated a number of times, I've been involved, as Patty made allude to, about the allocations committee. I served last year as one of the campaign, not campaign chair, but with the allocation chairpersons, and got an opportunity to see the agencies, you know, again, to open my eyes and to realize the need that we have here in our community. And talking about the need, I know that last year we got very, very close to our goal. This year we have another aggressive goal. What is our goal again this year, Patty?
Our goal is $1 million.
Okay.
You gotta say it like
I'm going to say
$1 million.
There we go. All right. All right. Very
Now you
good.
see why he's campaign chair and I'm behind the scenes.
Absolutely. And you know, in talking about campaign chair, I know that we have our annual kickoff that the entire community is invited to come out and talk to visit. Talk about that if you don't mind a little bit,
Okay,
Patty.
we're having a kickoff breakfast on August 30th at Delavant at 8 a.m. and the community is definitely invited. The cost is $15 to cover the cost of the breakfast, and so we need reservations by August 25th so that we can let our caterer know and have plenty of food for everybody. And I promise you, you will not be disappointed if you come to this kickoff. It's going to be very exciting, different, and have a lot of interest.
Okay. You know, speaking about that, I think, Jack, I think you know the keynote speaker that's going to be speaking there
Intimately,
at the camp.
yes.
You want to talk about that if you don't mind?
Well, I was so excited to get a chance to come on board and work with them, but I'm a storyteller along with being an educator, and the personal stories of our agencies really appeal to me. We have a theme, of kind of a superhero theme. I've got my Superman tie on today.
I noticed that, yeah.
It's about finding the hero inside of you, and many of our people that are volunteers and also those who give are heroes to our community. And so I'm really excited about telling some of those personal stories about what goes on with the agencies. It may be something as simple as our Boy Scouts. They had a neat line that they don't just wear green uniforms and help little old ladies across the street anymore. They work with science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, the STEM initiatives, and they're helping the kids to not just be outside, but also use the technology that's available as we move into this very much technologically based world. You've got, of course, the Red Cross. I think they said they wear vests, not capes. I thought that was a really neat line from them. And yet we do see them as heroes in our community, but some of the stories we may not know. One reflection was back to 2015, Christmas Eve. I don't know if y'all remember, we had terrible weather that year.
That's right.
We had flooding around the area, and Red Cross, of course, they're there when people need them. So many of the volunteers were there in the middle of all that storm, kind of the chaos. They opened up a headquarters, people came in, and their needs were being met all through the night. Well, some of the volunteers went home for Christmas Day and Christmas morning. One particular volunteer reflected, though, her daughter looked and said, "Mom, you need to go back. They need you more than I do this morning."
Oh, my.
And just to have that level of communication with a child to realize the power of volunteerism and just getting down to those special stories really excites me, and that's the sort of thing I'll be bringing at the keynote address on the 30th.
Well, very good. I know that we're looking very forward to seeing that. You know, you're talking about being an educator. I always heard this saying, children don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I think that's what United Way and the agencies in our community do. They show just how much they care. And you know, you named two of the agencies that I had an opportunity to visit last year and look at their budgets and look at what they do and the services that they provide here in our community. And you know, to see the level of service on what they get is just outstanding. You know,
Alton, those are kind of the big ones that we hear a lot about. We know them very well. But there are other agencies that, unless you have the need, you may not know about.
That's right.
I think about Mady Smith and the daycare there. There's a beautiful story of a young woman. She's got 2 children. She wants to get a job, but she can't find childcare so that she can go out and get that job. Someone connects her with Mady Smith. Mady Smith says, "I tell you what, we see that your ambition and what you want to do. We're going to keep your kids for 3 weeks for free.
Oh my.
Let them come in while you go and you pursue that opportunity." The young lady gets her job. After 3 weeks, she comes in with her checkbook and is able to write a check to pay for the daycare. But Mady Smith made that possible for her by letting those kids stay there. And the United Way made it possible by giving to Mady Smith. So it's just those little powerful stories mean so much.
Absolutely. And you know, it's just, each one helps one or teaches one. So it's an outstanding, you know, and Patty, and I don't want to start naming names because the ED before you, it goes way back in our community, and we have a rich history here with United Way. And, you know, and what makes it so good is the number of volunteers. Talk about an opportunity for people to volunteer, Patty, if you don't mind.
There are always opportunities with our agencies for people to volunteer. We have a strong emphasis on early learning, so if somebody wants to give an hour a month and go and read in one of our child care centers, we have Success by Six that has what we call our weekly reader program, because we try to get somebody into a child care center every week to read, and you can volunteer to go in and read. You can, if you're a low-income senior and you love serving people, you can work with our Senior Companion program and go in and provide respite care for caregivers for a senior who's homebound, and provide company. Sometimes they read to them, they watch TV together, they may play games or do something like that, so that the family who's there most of the time can go to the grocery store, go get their hair cut, take care of some of the errands that they need to take care of. Boys and Girls Club is really building up their mentoring program.
That's right.
So there are opportunities there. There are opportunities for groups who want to volunteer together to do a food drive and then come in and help stock the food pantry at LaGrange Personal Aid. One of the most fun volunteer things I've done in the last couple of years is the Empty Stocking Fund is now at LaGrange Personal Aid, and they take such pride in what they do. And last year, it was set up, Paul Stedman and his staff had set up Personal Aid like a store.
Right.
They had the toys separated by ages, they had people dressed up like elves, and you got to come in at you had to make an appointment, but you came in and got a shopping cart and a personal shopper to go with you, and the parents got to pick out the toys their children got, and it was the most heartwarming thing I've seen. And I know how small their allocation is, but they just do such a good job with it, and they always need personal shoppers.
Well, talking about that, I remember I got a call from Mr. Stedman asking about being a volunteer over there. As we get ready to close out real quickly here, Jack, I know that you had another little story about, I think, a senior companion, and Pat, I want to get you to mention Mary Market real quick. Tell that story if you don't mind, Jack.
There's a really neat story of the Senior Companion program that Patty mentioned. People from all ages can volunteer, but one of the volunteers herself was 92 years old. And someone said, wait a minute, what do you do here? She says, I sit with the elderly, not myself, but with others.
All right. Very good. And that's what it's all about. Patty, quickly as we close out, mention Mary Market.
Mary Market is coming up October 20th, is the preview party through the 22nd, and that is our big retail market where we bring vendors in from all over the country, and all of the proceeds from Mary Market go to early learning. And it's a great opportunity. It's also another opportunity to volunteer. So if anybody's interested in that, please give us a call.
All right. So ladies and gentlemen, we're here talking today about the United Way campaign kickoff, which will be taking place on August the 30th down at Delavant. So get your tickets. Give Patty a call quickly. Patty, if you don't mind giving me your numbers.
706-884-8292.
I want to thank both of you all for being on the show today. Jack, thank you very much for what you do in our community, educating our kids, and now being the campaign chair of United Way. Patty, thank you for all you do as well.
Thank you, and thank you, Alton, for all you do.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for more City Weekend in just a moment.
At LaGrange College, your journey toward achievement may take you in many different directions. The arts, law, ministry, medicine. Experience LaGrange College, one of the South's most affordable, highly ranked institutions, and leave transformed. Discover more at lagrange.edu/transform.
just what you're looking for. You'll find it in one of the 28 shops in downtown LaGrange. Remember old school customer service? It's still here. Not to mention that perfect gift. That's the beauty of downtown LaGrange. So come on down.
Welcome back to the week, ladies and gentlemen. Now I am being joined by one of LaGrange's finest. I am being joined by Sergeant Marshall McCord. Marshall, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mr. West.
Well, it's a pleasure to sit down with you again. I know that I had you on not too long ago, but I think it's never too often to have one of our LaGrange finest to come on and talk about things happening in and around our community. I know that you were one that perhaps got the finger on the pulse, being the community outreach officer. Tell us a little bit about your role, Marshall, if you don't mind.
Well, we coordinate and put out a lot of the community events that come to us. A lot of the events you see downtowns, whether it's for a fundraiser or for a civic group, we try to attend those when they request or facilitate some type of security for them. You know, however they wish for us to sort of partner with them, that's what we're trying to do. The unit coordinates our neighborhood watch program. We try to facilitate or participate in several other things, such as the Homeless Coalition meetings, which occur monthly at the police department. We also have a community outreach meeting, which is made up of a large segment of the community from various backgrounds, both professional and business-wise, and then just regular citizens, community activists and whatnot. Like I said, we work to both strengthen and start neighborhood watch programs. So if it's community oriented, that's what the unit focuses on. We got the chaplains work under that unit as well.
Okay, sound like a full plate there while I was smiling so broadly there.
Yes, it's a lot.
It's a lot there.
Yes, sir.
But then when you talk about the City of LaGrange and the community, we're 25, 30,000, in population size. And then I'm not certain of the exact number of officers that we have right now on patrol, and we do run 3 shifts. But then in order to be effective in our community, we have to be out in the community so we know the people and the people can know the officers. Is that a fair statement?
That's what it's all about. We work for the community. And working for the community, you got to build relationships, positive relationships. And the unit tries to help facilitate that with the department along with the other units. To be proactive and get to know the citizens that we're working for. Absolutely.
And you said positive relationships. In saying that, Marshall, I want to kind of talk about some of the things that we have seen going on in and around our nations. It seems like just about every day you turn the news on, you hear about some altercation involving police and citizens. Here in the City of LaGrange, fortunately, we have not had that to occur. And I'm glad to say that. Why do you think we have not been, I guess, subject to incidents of such? What, in your opinion?
Well, when you look at the incidents, certainly any of the incidents that have happened nationwide are subject to happening in LaGrange. The problem comes in, I believe, with the aftermath. It's what do you do before? What have we done prior to the incident? Let's look at that. The thing you're looking at is the first thing, selection. We strive to obtain the best officers, the best person we can get out there to work for LaGrange Police Department. We have an extensive selection process. It's more than just filling out an application and dropping it in. There's physical fitness testing. There's writing tests, essay questions. There's polygraph examinations. The Office of Professional Standards does an extensive background check on the individual. They ask them to provide references, and then they look, that particular unit looks for additional references. So they really get out and get to know the people. Selection is a large part of that. And then training. The state of Georgia requires 20 hours minimum a year. LaGrange Police Department requires an additional 80 or more hours on top of that 20. So we're not going to meet just the minimum standard. That same thing applies to shooting. There's a state standard for qualification, which is 80%. We hold that same 80%, but ours is a little bit higher because we're not given the same points that the state gives on qualification targets. Ours is a little bit harder to obtain.
Okay.
So there again, it goes into the training, meaningful training, and then of course just active supervision, having good, strong policies.
Okay. You know, and I feel, you know, you hit all the points that I wanted to comment about, because, you know, I think back to the days that I was down there and I was in the training division, you know, when we used to have the FATS machine, you know, which kind of simulated various situations, and also we had the arm-to-arm takedowns and things of that nature. But nowadays we're kind of in a different arena. Body cameras, video phones, and things of that nature. And I know that the City of LaGrange has had body cameras for a long period of time now. Talk about that for us, if you don't mind.
Well, video camera is extremely important. It's extremely important for the officer. It exonerates an officer both in complaints the majority of the time. Very rarely has an officer ever been complained on that the video showed that they were in the wrong. A lot of people, when they realize we have video, the complaint, they just sort of leave.
Okay.
So that's where it first started. I think most people know we have videos. We had in-car camera since I've been there. That was one of the things that was a requirement, and I've been there since 2000. And then years before Ferguson occurred, which was the public outcry for body cameras, LaGrange Police Department was utilizing body cameras. You know, you've got to take a proactive approach to law enforcement. This is a profession, and you've got to constantly reach to be well beyond where you should be, looking for new ideas on how to stay ahead. And one of the things that helps us do that, of course, is the CALEA background and working with the community. You mentioned these national events. It's too late to build relationships after an event has occurred. So what we do at LaGrange Police Department, we're working to build those relationships long before an event occurs.
Absolutely.
Build that trust up early. Like I said, anybody can make a mistake, anybody can have something done wrong, but if you get ahead of it on the front end, it certainly can lessen the effects of what you're seeing nationwide.
Absolutely. You know, you're talking about, and again, I just want to go back to those three things you said: selection, training, and active supervision. And I know that Chief Dekmar holds each and every person in that department highly accountable for their actions, and if not, then they're dealt with, you know, swiftly and quickly.
Yes, sir.
And you know, in talking about dealing with things prior to them actually happening, being proactive as opposed to being reactive, I also noted that the LaGrange Police Department is now launching a new video that kind of helps people understand how to, I guess, basically react when they're stopped by law enforcement, and it's called Listen, Explain, Comply, and Complain. Talk about that. Just break it down there for us, if you don't mind, Marshall.
This is something that we've always it's always been a thing for LaGrange Police Department. We've never put it in a PSA. Actually, this was a PSA that was put out by several agencies in North Carolina. We saw it on YouTube, like I said. As you know, LaGrange Police Department is a CALEA agency. There's a set of standards. CALEA brings the best practices to an agency. Having said that, we're constantly looking for what is the best practice and what is the best way to get information out to the citizens. So when we saw this video, it was on YouTube, we decided that that's something that we would want to tailor for our community and put out to the public on how to handle things. So basically we contacted North Carolina and said, hey, we love your video, we'd like to do the same thing, can we use it? And they said, sure, we think it'd be great, we're all on the same page, we want the same thing for our citizens. And so the first thing was listen. It's important for the officer. It's important for the officer to listen to what the citizen's telling you. It's important that the citizen listen to what the officer's saying. So we push that both sides of the spectrum. Explain. You know, we want the officer to explain. That's a requirement. It's a constitutional requirement. If you're under arrest, you need to be told you're under arrest and what you're under arrest for. The expectation from the citizen is that we will explain why we're doing what we're doing. And then we ask that the citizen comply with whatever the officer's asking them to do. Many of these events are sad nationwide. If the person would just comply, it probably cause a little inconvenience for them. But then there's a complaint process in place, and LaGrange has always had one. We take every complaint citizen very seriously from a citizen. So the citizen will just comply. They may not agree, they may not understand. Certainly, you know, we've been around to where maybe I couldn't explain it to them the way that it needed to be explained. They just need to come in and hear it from somebody else that may can explain it to where they can understand it.
Okay.
So they come into the office or they call on the phone. However, we even take second party complaints. But they come in, they can file that complaint with anybody in the agency. Typically a supervisor will be involved very quickly. And you know, then we follow it up from there. We look through the videos, and most time we're able to very quickly resolve these.
Okay. You know, just, you know, it sounds very simple. Listen, explain, comply, complain. And you know, if you kind of follow that scenario, like you say, if you don't agree with it, then you do have that last recourse there that you can file a complaint. Now understand that you all going to be releasing this video on your Facebook, and there's going to be other areas that you all are going to release this video. Talk about those areas.
Right. Well, it's already been released to the TV station here.
Okay.
To use during commercials when they, of course, we got the Alton West show that we do, and okay. We'll put it as a commercial in there.
All right, thank you.
It's been released. The television station here runs a Facebook page as well. It's released there, released on our departmental page. We're also going to take it and give it to the high schools. As you know, there's a lot of different venues you could play at. Callaway Stadium, if you attend a football game there, they got the pregame. As fans are coming in, they play different things, commercials, whatnot, so it'll be given to them. They can play it for the citizens there.
Okay.
You know, and of course it'll be available on YouTube as well.
Okay, well, very good. Marshall, if there was someone that was watching the show today and they had a couple of questions about something, may not necessarily be related to this, just want to ask a couple of questions or something of that nature, how can they get in touch with you or get in touch with someone there at the PD to pass on information?
Well, certainly they can contact me. The email address is mmccoy@lagrangega.org. Direct line is 706-883-2642. Just ask for Sergeant McCoy. I'm normally the one that answers that line. Jim Davison works in our unit, and also Officer McKinley works in community outreach. Any member of the police department always has that open ear, willing to take the information, and certainly we'll forward it in the proper direction towards whatever unit, you know, the question or information needs to go to.
Okay. Well, Marshall, I want to thank you for coming on the show today and sharing this information. And by all means, General Public, we'd like for you all, we hadn't had incidents, and we're thankful for that. And we know that that is attributed to the training that each and every one of our men and women in blue get, and the active supervision, and of course the selection, which is so important. So Marshall, I want to say thank you to all that you're doing here in our community to keep LaGrange and our surrounding area very safe, and we want to make sure that you stay safe out there as well.
I appreciate
thank you
it,
very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for more City Weekend in just a moment.
Nobody wants to be stopped by a law enforcement officer.
Everyone wants to feel safe.
So we've trained our officers to first listen and then explain.
We ask if you have contact with one of our officers, you listen, give him an opportunity to explain, comply with his requests, and if there's a problem, contact us so that we can investigate your complaint.
Listen, explain, comply, then complain.
Our safety and yours matters.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for joining City Week this week. My guests have been from United Way, the Executive Director, Patty Youngblood, along with the campaign chair for this year's campaign, Jack Moorman. He will also be the keynote speaker at the kickoff that will be taking place on August the 30th at Delavant. $15 for a ticket. You do need to RSVP by giving Patty Youngblood a call. Also, ladies and gentlemen, I had on from the LaGrange Police Department, Sergeant Marshall McCoy, as he talked about the video being released entitled, Listen, Explain, Comply, Complain. So ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you will by all means abide by this And also, if you have further questions for him, give him a call down at the LaGrange Police Department. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you've enjoyed these interviews. And as always, I want to invite you back for more of City Week.